capturing that moment before it completely falls off.
Yeah.
Which
If
terrified me.
if you've got the angle wrong as well,
Yeah.
it would have either not dripped as well, or
Yeah.
completely fallen off. So
Yeah.
little tiny things like that really affect the production of work of this nature.
Yeah.
Something really tenuous and
Yeah.
and I think it's amazing if that sort of, I suppose, moment when you actually make the work and literally bricking yourself that you're gonna mess it up. If that can come across somehow in the work, that sort of danger or just it's risk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Risk to actually push those materials.
That's why I kind of want to keep the marks behind it, just to trace it. Weird.
Well, I mean, with you three particularly, you've got this quite but quite a big desire for the material. There's a lot of desire for material. Why do you think is that? Why do you love paint? You know what I mean? I didn't want to say it.
For me,
What's the attraction of it? You know?
like I said in the slide talk, we'll start with abstract expressionism and just throwing to hang around, and really, to me, that made sense. Out of all the practices of paint, that just made no sense to me. Maybe I could deal with it, maybe I could be engaged. This painting style telling me where to
that
go.
kind of like mindless, almost like macho kind of action.
Exactly. So that's how I sort of went, well, great, that was 1950s. So it's all been deconstructed to decorative art. Shit, what do I do now?
So you're trying to develop.
And that's kind of a reaction from that, and somehow I've sort of gone completely the opposite way.
So kind of
To
develop
that hang on, weirdly.
I think for me it's the fact that you've got this material and it's basically just bits of soil, bits of pigment or bits of minerals that have been ground down, and they're the same materials that have been used for like 500, 600 years, and within that there's so many possibilities. It's literally infinite in terms of how you can use that material, whether you use it sparingly with glazes, with a small brush, or applying thickly, and it's just mind-blowing, those possibilities. And if my work can start to begin to push, to touch some of those ideas, then it's...
We sort of mentioned Rothko earlier, so how do you think people like Rothko and just any Constable, what do you think they felt about paint? How do you think they spoke about paint?
I mean, there's a fantastic book by James Elkins called What Painting Is, and I think if anything they might sort of use that tag, and he relates it to alchemy, painting and alchemy, because at one point in the 1500s, painting and alchemy were sort of really intertwined. They were actually using the same materials. Alchemists were sort of boiling them down and experimenting with it in like whatever you would call it, a lab, and the painters were actually using it to make these images. So, and often there was a lot of crossovers there, and for those two painters, I think that's what they were doing. They were combining those pigments and turning just completely new ways. And the fact that they were possibly searching for this philosopher's stone or material prima, or whatever you want to call it, whether it was a physical thing that you turn lead into gold, or you actually manifest it in an image, where a lot has been written about Rothko and about his voice and the meaning of the work, and also Turner's work. But it is this sort of this wonderful place of reverence and that sort of connects everything to the universe, and it's sort of this metaphorical philosopher's stone.
I read an interesting quote by Sean Scully once. He was just saying that sort of abstract art reminds us that we don't know, and that's it, kind of. And I think kind of paints just don't know. It's just that whole big sort of cliche question of just what, why, and how, and everything kind of. But it's, I guess, it's kind of paint's it's a way of sort of saying things that you don't know. Is that really?
Yeah, I think so. But also you didn't know, but you wanted to try and figure something out.
Yeah. I think he was talking about it from sort of a religious perspective, but it's just a way of sort of, can say things that you couldn't say with words, you know.
I remember I had a quote once from a Jew who said the purpose of art is to make that understood, which in the form of an argument would be completely incomprehensible. So I mean, what a ridiculous undertaking to take as a 19-year-old art student. But no, yeah, you kind of on something. But I mean, is there room for thought after viewing painting? Do you see it purely? I mean, that's a very Greenbergian idea of like pure aesthetic viewing. Can painting, after 30 years decline, can it return to thought and post-thought and be related to sort of that kind of conceptual theory?
Yeah, I think completely kind of the way in which I view any work, which I really enjoy and really respect, is that I kind of, it always really has to work at the base level of my work, and I enjoy it, and it's aesthetically pleasing, and then afterwards I see it and think about it. And if things fail, you prefer what they think they work.
They have to work in two ways.
Yeah.
But I also think, since where we're going to call the device of Watkins and sort of modern painting, is that painting can appropriate anything, and it's appropriated the language of conceptual art, and that's I think the last 10 years that's come to the fore, and it's just the scope for painting is massive, and the fact that it can carry on evolving and drawing anything into it is one of its strength, and
That's one of the reasons I paint, because it's a constant throughout history. It's always recorded something.
well, the history of art is actually just the history of painting until the last of 100 years.
Yeah.
From that to that, and all forms photography, cinema draw from the history of painting.
Of course,
And it's you've got this weight, I suppose, of expectation that you could see it as like, oh shit, I'm going to paint. It's really loaded with meaning. Or you can actually go, I've got all of this that I can actually use and draw from.
Of course, yeah.
And actually be this.
And it does work either way. Sometimes it can completely suffocate you.
You
You
can
can't do
paralyse
it.
or
Yeah.
where you thrive, I suppose,
Yeah.
things like that.
And sometimes the theory
It's
really goes
like-
over. And what you forget is like what you've actually got to do. The actual process of making